and no one loves a monster.
Hey everyone, welcome back to your nerdy show. I'm your host, Spoiler Master. Today, we're diving deep into the chilling ending of Cobweb, Samuel Bowden's directorial debut that delivers a roller coaster of tension, horror, and emotional devastation. The film is a psychological horror story about Peter, a troubled 8-year-old boy who discovers that the scratching sounds in his walls are more than just his imagination. But by the end of it, the questions linger. Did Peter escape Sarah? And how will he ever recover from the trauma of killing his parents and being manipulated by an entity that may, or may not, be real? Let's unpack everything from Sarah's true nature to the darker implications of the film's finale. The setup, Peter's life. At the heart of Cobweb is Peter, a shy, bullied young boy who's struggling with an emotionally distant, controlling set of parents. His mother, Carol, and father, Mark, seem to have no room for compassion or understanding when it comes to their son, keeping him isolated and locked away from the world. The tension between Peter and his parents is palpable throughout the movie. They constantly gaslight him, dismissing his fears and punishing him for any attempts to break free from their control. This abusive, emotionally manipulative dynamic is key to understanding Peter's state of mind as the film progresses. One night, after his parents forbid him from going trick-or-treating due to the mysterious disappearance of a local girl years ago, Peter begins to hear strange scratching noises coming from within the walls of his bedroom. These sounds are the first signs that something is very wrong in Peter's world. But just as with everything else in his life, his parents dismiss these occurrences as mere figments of his imagination, labeling him as a troubled child in need of discipline. But as Peter's isolation grows, so does the mystery. He begins communicating with a voice in the wall, a voice that claims to be his older sister, Sarah. As the plot unfolds, we learn that Sarah was locked away by their parents after being born severely deformed. But that's just the beginning of the horrors Peter uncovers.
Now you know. Your time is...
The voice in the wall. The voice in the wall belongs to Sarah, or at least that's what she tells Peter. At first, the voice is soft and innocent, almost childlike, just like Peter himself. Sarah claims to be trapped in the walls, a victim of their parents' cruelty. She tells Peter that their parents are evil and that she has been hidden away because of her deformity. What makes the voice in the wall so unnerving is that it plays on Peter's deepest fears and vulnerabilities. His parents are already emotionally abusive, dismissing him and isolating him from the outside world. So when this voice comes into his life, offering comfort, Peter naturally wants to believe it. He finds solace in Sarah's words, even though, as the audience, we can feel the creeping sense of dread that this sister might not be what she seems. The film uses this psychological manipulation expertly. Peter starts pushing boundaries. He retaliates against his bullies, like Brian, who destroys his pumpkin, but Sarah's voice encourages him to go further, suggesting that Peter's parents are dangerous, and that only by taking drastic action can he avoid the same fate as Sarah.
As you, Peter. I was just born this
The truth about Sarah. As Peter begins to unravel the truth about his family, we realize that Sarah is not just a scared, misunderstood girl trapped in the walls. Sarah has a much darker history. Peter discovers that Sarah was locked away by their parents after being born with severe deformities. This reveals a critical piece of the puzzle. Peter's parents were not just abusive, they were actively hiding a dark secret from him. When Sarah speaks of her life in captivity, it's clear that she was raised in isolation, subjected to abuse and neglect. But Sarah doesn't just resent her parents for what they did to her. She resents Peter, too. In Sarah's twisted mind, Peter represents everything she was denied: a normal life, freedom, the love and attention of their parents. She's consumed with hatred toward Peter for having the life she always wanted, and she believes that by manipulating him into killing their parents, she can finally have her revenge. The moment Sarah reveals her true form, her grotesque, monstrous appearance, is a turning point in the film. She's not just a deformed girl, she's something much darker, almost otherworldly in her movements and strength. Sarah has the strength of a supernatural entity. She scurries across the floor and walls with spider-like agility, and her glowing eyes and sharp teeth make it clear that she is no longer just a victim. She's a predator, and Peter is her next target.
Tell me, what did you do?
The parents' role in the story. Now, let's talk about Peter's parents. Are they as evil as they seem, or is Sarah manipulating Peter's perception of them? The movie presents a complex picture. Yes, the parents are abusive and manipulative, but there's more to their story. We learn that they didn't just lock Sarah away for no reason. They feared her. Sarah killed a local girl, Rebecca Holbrook, years ago after the girl tried to help her. In an attempt to protect themselves, Mark and Carol buried Rebecca's body in the garden and kept Sarah locked away. But the truth is, even if Sarah is a killer, the parents are hardly innocent. They treated Peter with the same cruelty, locking him away in the basement and gaslighting him about the scratching sounds in the walls. They're emotionally neglectful and abusive, showing no compassion for Peter's fears or mental health. The film makes it clear that Peter's parents are flawed, even monstrous, in their own right. But the movie also shows how easily Sarah manipulates Peter into thinking he needs to kill them to survive. Peter slips rat poison into their food, and the parents die in horrific ways. Carol, after a struggle, accidentally stabs herself in a panic, while Sarah might have pushed Peter to take this violent action. It's hard to ignore that the parents' behavior left Peter with few options. They were controlling, gaslighting him, and offering no real support. Even if Sarah hadn't been pulling the strings, Peter was already in an unsafe, abusive environment.
She saw me. They killed her, Peter.
The fate of the missing girl. Now let's circle back to the missing girl, Rebecca Holbrook. Early in the movie, Peter's father tells him that they don't let him trick or treat on Halloween because a local girl went missing years ago. This statement comes across as a precautionary measure to protect Peter, but in reality, it's an attempt to keep Peter unaware of the truth about their dark past. It turns out that the girl who went missing wasn't just a random victim of a neighborhood abduction. She was a trick-or-treater who stumbled across Sarah while she was locked away. Sarah killed Rebecca, and the parents buried the body to keep their secret safe. Peter eventually uncovers this truth when he digs in the backyard and finds a skull buried beneath the garden. This discovery further confirms Sarah's claims that their parents are capable of murder and manipulation.
I will always be with you.
The final scene. Is it real or just trauma? Now let's talk about the finale. What actually happens at the end of Cobweb? Miss Devine, Peter's substitute teacher, tries to intervene and save him from Sarah's clutches. She manages to lock Sarah back in the pit where she was confined, but Sarah promises Peter that she will always haunt him. Fast forward to the final scene, and Peter is in a new house, still hearing Sarah's voice and seeing her lurking in the shadows. But here's the thing, did Sarah really escape? Is she truly haunting Peter from beyond the grave? Or is this all a manifestation of Peter's trauma, a result of the psychological scars left by his horrific experiences? Given the way the film builds up Peter's already fragile mental state, it's entirely plausible that Sarah's presence in the final moments is more metaphorical than literal. Peter was already a troubled boy before all of this happened, and now, after killing his parents and facing the horrors of his past, he's left to deal with the overwhelming weight of that trauma. The last scene, with Sarah's voice echoing in Peter's mind, feels more like a reflection of the psychological damage he's suffered than a confirmation that Sarah is still physically alive. Our nerdy thoughts. In the end, Cobweb is more than just a horror film about a boy trapped in a house with a monster. It's a psychological exploration of trauma, fear, and the impact of abuse. Sarah may have been manipulating Peter throughout the story, but the real horror is the lasting emotional scars that remain long after the monster is locked away. So, did Peter really escape Sarah? The movie leaves it open-ended, but one thing is certain. The trauma will haunt him forever. Cobweb isn't just about supernatural horror. It's a chilling reminder that the scariest monsters are sometimes the ones created by our own minds. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you think in the comments. Do you think Sarah is still out there? Or is Peter doomed to carry the trauma with him forever? Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into your favorite films.
No, what the heck, I'll laugh anyway.